and welcome to the Tavern Chat Podcast. I'm your host, Dark Tenkar, a bartender in the OSR, your main proprietor at the Tenkar's Tavern blog, Discord server, media group, Facebook group, Twittering, and Instagram. And lest we forget, YouTube. Go to youtube.com/Eric Tenkar and enjoy the channel. I got bonus content going up there. Something that doesn't quite really fit on the podcast or the blog. And get more tavern at youtube.com/Eric Tenkar. So, if you want to know the latest with the the Dungeon Hobby Shop Museum, go to tenkarstavern.com, read today's blog post. Actually, today's post is simply about the pricing scheme of admission and to play the tables with anyone or luminaries, but in any case, interesting stuff. Also, there is an unadvertised sale going on in some apparently also Village of Hamlet is one of them. I think it's 2 expert adventures. Print on demand over a drive-through. Again, go to tenkarstavern.com, grab the link. I'll get a few pennies, coppers in the tip jar. But print on demand with PDF, $4.99 plus shipping. So, damn good. Really insane. Like I said, it's Village of Hamlet, Temple of Death X5, and Quagmire X6. So, don't know how long it's going to last. Might have been a mistake, but hey, make that mistake. Good for you. So today, though, I want to talk about the Orr Report. For those who don't know what the Orr Report is, it's what the folks behind Roll20 put out to tell you what's being played based upon what's being played on Roll20. Roll20 is the most used, largest VTT you have. And especially in this world of COVID, Roll20 gives you a very good insight into what is being played. So what is being played right now? Well, over 53% of campaigns are Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. Not a total surprise there, but over half the campaigns. What comes up at spot number 2? Uncharacterized or uncategorized. That, I guess, would be you're playing a game on Roll20, you don't designate what it is for the system, so you could be running anything from... And I'm going to say, if you're doing that, you're probably using a system that doesn't have a rule set for it. So I don't know which ones those are, but I'm sure there's tons of them. But coming in, number 3, Call of Cthulhu, any edition, at 11.3%. Then we have a huge drop coming in at number 4. That huge drop, Pathfinder. And that's Pathfinder 1st edition, coming in at less than 4%. Pathfinder was the big kid on campus, right? It was the big bully on the schoolyard. Now, I don't know if they're treading water. Coming in after Pathfinder is Pathfinder 2nd edition at under 2%. And then Warhammer, the different versions. World of Darkness, different versions. 3.5 D&D comes in at just over 1%, and then about 0.75%. Starfinder. Now, I've talked about this in the past, but it's pretty blatantly obvious that Starfinder was supposed to be... we don't want to necessarily put out a new edition of Pathfinder. Let's make a science fiction game using the Pathfinder system, and it's going to boost us. It's going to give us that pop because of the lagging sales of Pathfinder core books. Now, remember, Pathfinder 1E, if you went to conventions, you saw a lot of Pathfinder stuff, but a lot of it was third party. You weren't... The stuff that was coming out by Paizo, everybody pretty much had, right? And really, how many Game Master guides do you need, right? I mean, when they come out with like the 5th or 6th guide, well, they got the DM's guide too, and 4E. I mean, how many do you need? So they weren't selling core books. So Pathfinder was like, Pathfinder, like, let's do Starfinder. We'll do science fiction. It's going to be vaguely Spelljammer, like maybe kind of sort of. Well, you know what? It wasn't, and it isn't, and it's pretty much a flop from a company of that size, which was that size. So then they were like, all right, well, we need to sell more core books. Let's do Warhammer 2nd Edition. Well, Warhammer 2nd Edition has not even half the audience of Pathfinder 1st Edition. So not only have you splintered your audience, but you haven't gotten much traction with your new edition. Kind of sucks to them, right? Yeah, kind of. So we're gonna, if you dig a bit deeper now, so once you get past that, because here's the thing: other games, these are everything else that did not fit into like the top 10. Let me see: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yep. What didn't fall into that top 10 categories, including uncharacterized. I'm a New Yorker and I can't pronounce that. That must be a New York thing, right? Uncategorized. There we go. Proper pronunciation. So there are actually 9 systems plus uncharacterized in the top 10. Other games amounts to 11%. So 11% of the games on Roll20 probably constitute 100 plus other rule sets or more. So which ones are the ones that are notable? Well, GURPS comes in at about 1/4%. Mutants and Masterminds, right around there. AD&D. AD&D. 1st and 2nd edition. 23%. Actually, more playing that than 4th edition, which is at 22%. Starts with that number is 19. We're going to swing down a little bit. Dungeon Crawl Classics comes in at 10%. Yes. Am I aiming at stuff that is old school in nature? Certainly. Original D&D, 0.06%. That's not a huge percent, right? Basic Fantasy RPG, 0.6. Old School Essentials, 0.5. All right, so now we're getting to the point where we really got to start ringing it out. Now they got Paranoia here at 0.04%, right there with Zweihander. Now that's interesting. Zweihander, 0.04%. You wouldn't know that from the way it's marketed, right? You'd think it's one of the most played games out there. Apparently it's not. Maybe it's one of the most sold games out there. But hey. Open Legend at 0.04% and RuneQuest at 0.04%. That's interesting. Rollmaster 0.03. And now we've got, now we get into the point where it's like Limitations 0.02. D6, I guess that's the open D6 system. 0.02. Man. Made the role-playing game 0.02. Swords of Misery 0.02. I had to throw out the Made the role-playing game because it's just like, huh? Made the role-playing game. So what does this mean? Ubiquity. Now here's my thing with Ubiquity. The Ubiquity system to me felt a lot like Swords and Wizardry, but a little bit easier to get a handle of, but apparently it really hasn't gotten much traction. Low Fantasy Gaming is also in there at 1%. And I think if we go below 1%, I don't even think if you go below 1%, they don't even put you on a list. I really can't blame them, right? But here's the thing. When we say 5e drives the economy, it drives the market, it lifts all ships. Something like the Roll20 list here certainly shows that. Now, Will we get a market list out? Well, you know what? They're going to we get that market list. That's from the distributors, but you know what? That doesn't show you the same. It only shows your top 5. This digs a bit deeper, and now you can see if you go to the Roll20.net and read that blog post, and you get the Orr report for the third quarter of 2020, you go back and look at the old Orr reports. You'll see gaming trends. Now, remember, in COVID, a lot of people have transitioned to virtual tabletops. And the vast majority that have transitioned to virtual tabletops, I can guarantee you, have gone to Roll20. Roll20 is like the Kleenex of VTTs. Hand me a tissue or hand me a Kleenex, right? It's interchangeable. Make a copy or Xerox something. It's interchangeable. Just like D&D is like, oh, I play D&D. Really? Well, really? Yeah. Cool. What kind? Oh, no, I play Rollmaster. No. Everybody says D&D for role-playing. D20. It's the VT twee, man. That everybody covers. Everybody plays. Everybody uses. And if you know about VTTs, you know about Roll20. So, interesting stuff about Pathfinder. And they can't come out with another edition. And here's the other thing now about 5e, and I'm going to probably spend a minute on this before I log out. But somebody asked me if I thought that 6th edition was going to come up. And I was like, you know what? I don't really see a 6th edition coming up anytime soon. And that's because 5th edition, with these retcons and other changes they're making to how the rules are presented, can pretty much come out with a new edition and you might not even realize it. So long as the rules themselves are compatible, right? Doesn't make a difference if we've changed how orcs and goblins and dwarves and elves are portrayed. You might have to say, well, okay, well, how are you have which dwarf do you have? Oh, you have dwarves circa 2018 and earlier in your campaign. Well, I've got my dwarves are from 2019 and on. And what about you? Well, my orcs are prior to 2020. Oh, okay. Well, I have orcs that are from 20. That's going to be it. Okay, there's not going to. I don't see them saying, let's kill 5th edition and move on to 6th. No, you just change the cover on the core books, and maybe you announce, Dungeons and Dragons second printing. And you make a change that way. But the rules themselves, how the rules themselves interact, not the stuff, the core mechanics aren't going to change. Why change it? You can see what happened with Paizo in this market, right? Paizo, the former big buys, get their ball taken away by Wizards of the Coast with 5e, and then Paizo tries twice to regain market share. Once with Starfinder, total failure, and secondly with Pathfinder 2e, not total failure, but certainly not a success. Wizards of the Coast is going to learn from that. Market share is market share. And in a lot of ways, Wizards of the Coast, the value of Dungeons & Dragons isn't so much the books that it sells, but this place it occupies in the minds of people in society. If they ever decide to finally get a legitimate movie out or an on-demand TV series on Amazon or Netflix or Hulu or one of those channels, right? They get something like that. They push it along. And D&D, Dungeons & Dragons, has this market share in people's heads. It doesn't really matter whether those core books are currently selling, so long as it's an instant sell in other media. Think about it. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm full of shit. Could be. Folks, before I forget, Okay, we have a sponsor, and our sponsor is Fail Squad Games. Now, Fail Squad Games has been putting out the Maximum HP magazine or zine for a couple of issues, all on Kickstarter, starting with issue number 4, which is being kickstarted right now, which is an undead issue. Starting with issue number 4, it's available both in first edition and fifth edition rule set. So if you were somebody who has been playing with the 5e rules and is like, oh wow, looks cool, I like what Fail Squad does, but hey, it's only in 1e. Nope, this time it's in both. And if you're a 1e player or an OSR player, where 1e can drop into any of your OSR games, and you're going, oh, well, initially this Kickstarter was only 5e. No, it's both. Don't miss out. Do a quick Google search for Maximum HP number 4. Sign up, man. Back it. It's worth it. Lloyd does good stuff. I'm not saying that because he's sponsoring the show. I'm saying that because I've known Lloyd for a number of years, and I own a couple of original pieces of art. I'm actually looking at one right now, which isn't even fantasy. It's a nice wilderness scene at a lake or a pond shore. Just black and white. It was in inks and I guess a wash. I'm not an artist. So Lloyd, if I'm misstating what your work looks like, forgive me. I beg your forgiveness. Maximum HP number 4, folks. Again, we are in the midst of a pandemic. As always, please use your common sense. If you need further than common sense, seek professional medical advice from a medical professional, not the talking heads on TV. Talking about medical professionals, I want to sincerely thank Laramie from the 10 Cars Tavern Discord server. Oh my God. Laramie stepped in for Rach and I yesterday on Gamers Health. A little behind the scenes. We lost our feline daughter on Thursday. Her health had gone downward spiral since last weekend. From like maybe Monday or Tuesday. So by Thursday, we're like, we got to take her to the ER vet, the emergency vet. And after x-rays and blood work, it came back that she had cancer, and that's why she had lost 3 out of 10 pounds. So she was down to 7. And she was lethargic, and she didn't fight the vet. This girl, you had to put on the hawk gloves when you took her to the vet before. So she was also 14, almost 15, so somewhere around the 86 to 90-year-old thing for us humans. I was not going to put her through chemo. I couldn't do that to her. So, we put Ashley to sleep on Thursday. And Laramie reached out and asked us if we were up to doing the Gamers Health episode Friday night. And I was like, maybe, probably. And then as the day went on, I was like, I don't think we will be able to do it. And as luck and God would intervene, we had an outdoor cat that my niece had named, and Orange Girl. And she was named Sadie. And right around my birthday, late July, she started coming into the yard. And first she'd come like every other day. We weren't regulars, but we would feed her. And all of a sudden it was every day. And then she would look for us multiple times a day. And she'd want pets and attention. And she'd talk to us. And then yesterday, when it was raining outside, and I was going to go outside to feed her, she walked into the house. She walked in, made that decision for us. Got her into a cat carrier, took her to the ER vet, had her cleared from feline leukemia and feline AIDS, and we have her in right now. My parents have 2 cats downstairs. It's a 2-family home, so we had to make sure that she would not put them at risk. She won't. We're going to bring her to the regular vet in about 2 weeks. We're going to try to get her her shots and stuff, but she wasn't cooperating today. She was definitely somebody's pet, whether she was an escapee or she got lost. She's less than a year old. We don't know if she's spayed or not because they can't really tell on cats. But she's a sweetheart. Still a little bit nervous, but she's settling in. So God works in mysterious ways. But in any case, again, Laramie, thank you from the bottom of our heart for stepping in yesterday. It worked out really well, and it was what God or fate or the universe had in store. So we couldn't have done that without Laramie's help. Folks, on that note, as always, be safe, be well. God bless. Roll those dice. And God willing, I will talk with you all tomorrow. Later, folks.